Welcome to the 25th Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Curley Malice. Today's guest is Jenevieve Lenz, who is a passionate advisor with expansive experience providing financial MRI support to women business owners, improving financial health through integrated financial planning. What's really awesome about Jenevieve and her philosophy is that it so much dovetails into my philosophy about that diagnostic approach when it comes to helping our clients. She says financial MRI, it's about finding the piece that works and leaving it alone, and then adjusting the pieces that aren't working as well as you would like. In this episode, she digs in deep about how she does her time blocking, what a focused time block looks like, things that go in it and things that don't. I encourage you to sit back, listen, and think about adopting some of the things that she does to keep herself focused and on task throughout the day. I am super, super excited that you were able to be with me today. Thank you for spending your time with us.
You're so welcome.
It's always amazing how I meet the different guests on the show, and you and I met in kind of a really random way.
It was fun, right? It's wonderful to be part of NAVO and being connected and saying, wow, there's a lady in Ohio that I really need to talk to.
I know. I feel like one of the silver linings to the very dark COVID cloud is that we definitely are doing more connecting with people who live outside of our immediate vicinity. And so one of the great opportunities I've had is to meet you all the way out so far away in Washington, D.C.
All right, be careful. It's not exactly Washington, D.C. It's Virginia.
Virginia, in the D.C. area.
I don't want to be placed too close to the White House, okay?
I totally understand. So let's jump right in because I know that you have some really great ideas to share. It's so easy. We both know this. It is so easy to get to the end of the week and think, what did I do? Like, I was busy all day long, every day. What was it that I actually accomplished? And so what I'm wondering is, what are some of the strategies you use to make sure that you're accomplishing the things that are most important to you?
Well, it's taken me a while to figure that out, right? It didn't always come easy. I was always a list maker. My mom saved some of the lists I made when I was a kid, and when I was 11 or 12, it was, clean your room, make doll clothes, read a book. So those lists have expanded over the years. But certainly making lists isn't enough, especially during COVID. It's been a challenge because not only are you trying to run a practice and you have as many meetings, if not more, and I was doing virtual meetings, at least 2 years before COVID hit. So I didn't really skip a beat, right? Just did more virtual versus, a lot more in person. But it's having the children at home, having the husband at home. I mean, there's all these people at home. And if you're not time blocking, if you're not color coding things, if you're not delegating, I mean, a whole litany of things come to mind because you can't survive this. And I don't know any working mother who can survive it without literally having some of those ducks in a row. So the time blocking, that's crucial in my book. If I don't block my premier time, which for me is early mornings, right? I'm best when the house is quiet and I wake up and I don't need a cup of coffee. In fact, my 2 offices when I was growing up banned me from coffee because I have so much energy. It's a genetic tribute that my dad gave me. But the quiet hours, right? 6, 7, maybe as early as 5, if I get up that early, just banging out the important planning, setting up those emails, doing all that when there's no interruption feels great. So by the time the kids are waking up and it's, 7:30, 8 o'clock, you can have breakfast under control, or you're, emptying the dishwasher maybe by verbally texting a colleague about something going on later in the day, but you don't start your day stressed or opening your email box and think, oh my gosh, look at all these people that responded to me from, 8 p.m. To the wee hours of the morning. No, you feel like you're ahead of your day. You feel accomplished right out of the gate, right? Before those other family members start to stir. So that feels good.
Tell me a couple more examples of things that you do in that high productivity time slot in the morning.
So high productivity is looking for clients that are responding to emails that are action items. So we have a number of clients that are going through the planning process. They will respond, either they completed something, they have questions on something, they signed forms, they're sending you documents, right? Here's the things you were looking for to take planning to the next step. So it's always the clients that are going through planning first. Literally, it's pretty much any client email, right? You want to be getting things out as quickly as possible. My mandate is same day or within 24 hours. So I function by that. I live or die by it. So, everything else, and there's a lot of internal, we all get internal emails and all the stuff that distracts us, stuff that pops up on my screen. Forget about it, right? Just focus on those client emails. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll start them and save them in drafts. So at least if I get interrupted later, I know that I won't lose one. I've had the mistake where, you click on it, it looks like it's red, you didn't start answering it, and then all of a sudden, you're trying to catch up and it's 2 days later and you're feeling, oh my gosh, what happened to that email? So if I start them in drafts and I get the strong verbiage or the responses down, I either can hit send right away, or if it demands another response or doing some research on my end, I can put it on hold till later in the day till I have that answer. Sometimes, like I said, I work in a team. So getting an answer from a CPA, checking in with the estate planning attorney, calling my back office for quotes or, material related to someone's underwriting, lots of times that slows things down, especially if you're trying to give a good response. So you're checking for those center of influence or back office emails that also came in, right? And then you're taking that information and then feeding it back to the clients that are in the planning process. So, if I didn't have those quiet hours in the morning, I don't think I would feel as confident getting through my day. I also color code everything. So I have a time block in the morning that's gray, just because it is, and it says focus time. And I have those times sprinkled throughout my calendar, but most of the time, it's usually the 7 to 9 a.m. or the 6 to 8 a.m. time frame. And then I will have a chunk in the afternoon, because once things come in throughout the day, once you've had 2 or 3 meetings, you need a focused block of time in the afternoon to, send the follow-up email, log the notes, which have to be in the system for compliance reasons, right? Send an email to someone else on your team saying, well, this client now needs, I did my portion, now it's your next step. So having focus blocks of time has been a game changer for me. I use it so much now during COVID that my lunch hour, when my kids don't have, right, their online classes end, and they're done by 11:15 and they go back online at 12, well, that's lunchtime with mom. Nobody can interrupt me. I don't take calls. That 45 minutes is sacred. And it's, the kid time. I also do it for sports, right? And then there's one that's like just outbound calls. So everything has a color code. Everything has a time block on the calendar. And I don't know how to survive without those organizational tools.
When you're talking about color coding and having that high focus time, I'm wondering, are there any tasks that absolutely positively cannot go into that gray box, that focus time box, because it'll throw you completely off?
Absolutely. I mean, anything that deals with family, right? So during the day, you're in meetings, you're doing your focus time. Texts, they just come in, right? And my husband is sometimes really angry because he bought me an Apple Watch so that I would respond to him in a timely manner. Well, guess what, honey? If I'm in a meeting, I'm not, even though the watch is lighting up and it's going bling, bling, and the phone's dinging, right? Everything is generally silenced. So maybe I can see that I have now 12 or 13 texts, but there's absolutely no way I'm going to pick it up till I can actually touch it and answer those people. And even when I do pick it up, I'll scan the text, because now texts are becoming as numerous as emails, unfortunately. And I'm coaching Girls on the Run. I'm doing other activities this time of year. So those things tend to heat up. And I won't answer the text. I won't even click on it until I know I have a good 10, 15 minutes to zip off some responses. Because if I do, then it's open, right? Then I didn't respond. So I will literally let text sit. It's not strange that they sit 4, 5, 6 hours, right? So I will not let texts or things inbound. And now if there's an emergency, I'll scan it for, my mom, my husband, let's see. And I've told everybody, if it's urgent, type urgent and then your message, and I will get back to you. If it's not urgent, then please understand that I have to be hyper-focused on what these clients need. They're paying me. I want to be diligent with my work hours so that in my off hours, I can be 100% focused on my family. And we have family hours, every night, whether it's game night, whether it's go out and play badminton or soccer. I have to keep that time sacred because it's for my health as well. I've been sitting at a desk all day. I want exercise, right? So being hyper vigilant and not getting texts, ancillary emails, other things that distract you, that's kind of my best tip, I would say.
Yes. And I love what you're saying about how they're coming in. Text messages are coming in, emails are coming in, but in your high focus time, you're focusing on the things that make you most productive, the things that are most important to your clients and to your business. And the other stuff can wait. The piece that I'm laughing about is that whole idea of if you open it, it's so easy to forget that it's there, that you didn't respond to it. I can think of how many times I sit down in the evening and a text will come through and I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh man, there were 4 other ones that I looked at and didn't respond to.
Right.
Making sure you have the time
Absolutely.
to actually answer it if you're going to look at it.
And some of them, they're going to be longer than others, right? So if you've got 12 texts, you can see that some are going to be pretty easy, quick responses. So maybe you get to those. There have been times since I can tell some of them are longer winded or I have some friends that text, entire email essays in a text box. Those sit till the evening, till the kids are in bed, right? Those wait till 9, 10 o'clock at night and I can send them a story back. Or I do a lot of voice texting while I'm preparing dinner, which is great because I grew up in a restaurant family and I've always been working with my parents. We've always been cooking. We all grow gardens. So I want to make gourmet meals. And the only way I can time block that is if I voice text everybody back while I'm cooking. I know it's crazy. It's a proverbial multitasker, right? So, yeah.
Right. But you can do both of those things, and do them both well, which is a smart use of your time.
You have to. I mean, if technology has taught me one thing, email is the bane of my existence because I all agree that we agree. I think that most of us get too much of it, right? There's just too much back and forth. So if you can voice text or voice email, if you can actually record that, I haven't quite gotten that science down yet, but that would just be a game changer for so many people, right? You just have to remember to say period and exclamation and edit, put your punctuation in. So yeah, you got to use technology to your advantage.
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Yeah.
Earlier, you said delegating was also one of your keys. So tell me a little bit more about where do you delegate? How did you get started delegating? Like, what does that look like for you?
So that's a really good question. The question about delegation, because it's not something that comes easy to me. And it certainly doesn't come easy to anybody in my family because there's a bunch of perfectionists, little bit of control side things going on as I grew up. My parents own a business. So it was, controlling the business, controlling the employees, the environment. You wear a lot of hats when you're a business owner, as we all know. So you want to control that all those things are happening the way they should be. Over time, as you get trust from certain employees, right? They've proven themselves that they can handle certain tasks. You're going to delegate more, right? That goes without saying. So somebody in my office that's great with reviewing emails and marketing. We have a marketing team. I delegate a lot of the marketing off to them, right? I'll do the rough draft. I'll say, well, this is the event, the seminar, the emails, and then it's set up in draft for them to go in and edit and perfect it, right? So delegating some marketing. Delegating to colleagues at work, right? I signed up to revenue share with a phenomenal gentleman who's on my team, and he does all the paperwork. He does the back office work. He sends out the investment paperwork. He sends out annuity paperwork. He sends out literally everything from all the different sources that we work with. And it also is compliant approved, right? So he wears 2 hats. He kind of is the compliance officer, but also takes care of my paperwork. I don't have to worry about a thing. And that's really a good feeling. This stuff comes back signed from the clients, and then, we go to work and we continue planning. On the home side, this has been a work in progress. I delegate to my oldest, especially on days when I know I'm going to have early morning meetings. So if I get a request and I know I'm not going to be around for breakfast, and someone's asking for an 8:30 or 9 o'clock start, I don't take those all the time because I want to be present when the day's starting. I want to be present going over the schedule with the kids and, what do you have to do today? And breakfast was always a big deal in my family, being in a hospitality family. My dad always made hot breakfast. So 3 days a week, I'm making a hot breakfast. But the other 2 days of the week, either my husband's doing it and I'm not even in the kitchen at all, or my 10-year-old daughter is excellent. And she'll even ask, she's like, well, Mom, can I be in charge of breakfast tomorrow? So this morning she made scrambled eggs with cheese and she sliced bread and put fruit on the table. And I think she even heated up the cider because we like warm cider for breakfast. And it was great. All I had to do was show up and eat. So getting your kids involved because they want to be involved, right? They want to prove that they're helpful. And at least my oldest is phenomenal. And training them when they're young to just be in the kitchen, right? Teach them, how to do certain tasks. Somebody else is walking the dog, right? My other daughter's feeding the dog, walking the dog. All these things can't land on mom's shoulders. So finding the chores and the responsibilities that are age appropriate and delegating those to the kids makes them feel good, right? Makes them feel like they're participating in the household. Like I said, it didn't happen overnight. It's a long time in process, but when it does and it finally clicks and you can say, wow, I just turned breakfast over to my kid twice this week because I had meetings. Who doesn't love that, right?
Right? Like, what's better than that?
Yeah.
One of the things my clients will say to me is, oh, delegating's great in theory, but I don't have anyone to delegate to. And you've named things and people that usually people don't necessarily think of right away. Like your kids at home, your husband at home. Like people totally were like, well, I can't delegate at home. Well, I don't know why not. Yes, you can.
Of course you can, but you have to train them along the way, right? So you can't just all of a sudden, hey, you're in charge of breakfast if they haven't been experiencing it, right? So the weekends when it's time for people to be hopefully eating together, I have them in the kitchen. So they're watching me, they're learning. I don't let them go on a device when it's mealtime, right? I want them participating with me in the kitchen. And when they're little, when they're 4 or 5 years old and they're in kindergarten, that looks like setting the table, right?
Right.
I'm delegating setting the table. I'm delegating somebody cleans up the table and takes all the dishes over to where the dishwasher is. So it started when they were really young and then you build on that. So by the time they're teenagers, I mean, my colleague, the one I mentioned, that's my partner, he has 4 kids and he adopted all 4 of them from Poland. And he and his wife right out the bat, they delegated dishes and cooking, and now he's got 3 of them that cook dinner 4 days a week. Him and his wife don't have to even cook dinner. It's great. So I'm not the only one doing it, right? Other families are delegating cooking, cleaning, all that stuff to their kids. They can do it. You have to have a little patience. You have to have some trust, and you have to be willing to let go. Let go and trust that it'll get done. It won't be the way you want it exactly, and there might be a few burned meals, but it'll be good. It'll be really good.
Right. You'll still be able to eat it, even no matter how it tastes, it'll still be okay.
Yeah.
But speaking of your colleague, tell us a little bit more about your business and what you do.
So I work in fully integrated financial planning. I always like to tell the story for all the women that are listening out there, because I work with a lot of women business owners, of being interviewed for Mercer Advisors. And when I was interviewed, I was 7 months pregnant. And the gentleman who was the regional VP came down from Philadelphia, and I knew I was one of 5 candidates for the regional vice president position. We were opening a brand new office, part of this RIA that's headquartered out of Santa Barbara. And at the end of the luncheon, he gave me the offer, and I was completely befuddled. I said, you're giving me the offer of the job, but you have other people to interview today. I know you came down to interview others. Why are you so confident that I'm the right person for this position? And he said to me, after having a lunch with you, speaking with you for 2 hours, you are more of a planner than any CFP I've ever met. And I'll never forget that conversation because it meant so much to me that I was so detail oriented, a lot of it coming from my background, so that when I align with partners at work, Ken, Devin, other people, we're a very good team because we're a mix of male and female, right? So that brings a dynamic to a lot of husbands and wives, right? If you have a female business owner, somewhere there's generally, the husband, or if it's the male who's the owner, it's, usually, or it could be a couple, right? Some of my clients are co-owners of government contracting or, IT companies. So you want a dynamic that's going to work well for both male and female because we both kind of communicate and speak different ways. And so I sought that out very early on when I was with First Financial, figure out who was going to have that symbiotic relationship with me. What were my strengths, which was relationship building and broad stream, right? Kind of like GP planning. I work with a lot of medical people. So it's, financial MRI is looking broad stream at everything they're doing, trying to find the holes in the planning, what's working, what's not working. If it's working, let's leave it alone, right? There's a lot of things that are just perfectly fine. There are other pieces of their personal or professional balance sheet that have holes in them. So let's set out and create a plan that's going to fix those. And then maybe by fixing those holes, they need some of the team members that I have, both inside First Financial and, like I said, outside. It could be introduction to a new CPA if their CPA hasn't been adding value. It could be an introduction to an estate planning attorney because they put that on the back shelf and estate planning isn't finished. It could be as simple as liaisoning with their car and homeowners insurance person because they have twins going off to college and they haven't even given a thought to adding umbrella insurance or something like that. So there's just all these pieces. And if I'm doing my job right, it makes it fall into place for all the other partners that I have, right? It's kind of just like this smooth little handoff amongst the team. Once again, going back to the delegating, each person kind of takes care of their specialty. So it works well.
Our approach is very similar to the work we do. It's diagnostic first and keep the stuff that's working there and then look to supplement the things that aren't. Not jump in with a random one size fits all plan for everyone.
Yeah, it's amazing how I hope that doesn't exist in many places much anymore. Maybe you know more than I do. It was certainly like that back in the days when I was at Merrill Lynch, and I don't know if it's changed in 15 years, but yeah, it was a plan and came in a nice shiny binder and you stuck it on the shelf and off you went. But it has to be dynamic. Look at the world we're living in today, right? I mean, there's going to be things that, like you just said, some things are really working well, and why fix something if it's not broken? Let's fix the things that really need hyper vigilance or focus. And as soon as you tweak a few of those little things, I breathe easier. I know my clients breathe easier, right? There's those thank yous that come, and yeah, it's just great. It makes you feel like you're making a difference in the world.
You've shared your philosophy on business, which I love. We've talked about how much I love that. You've shared ways that you keep yourself focused on what's important, whether it's making sure you have excellent service to your clients or that you're there for your girls and your family. And I know that being productive and being effective and being efficient means that you get extra time, quote unquote. So we're talking about the 25th hour. When things go the way you want them to, and you have that extra hour in your day, how would you like to spend it?
So there's two ways that I like to spend extra time, and it's going to sound a little crazy. One of them is a little more mainstream or normal, let's say it that way. The other one is just completely the inner kid in myself wanting to do stuff. So the crazier one of the two is I would spend it up in a tree. I would, my daughter and I are like part monkey, I think. And if we have a tree house in the backyard, so I would a tree or in the tree house, probably doing something like meditating, yoga, swinging from a rope, something that's outdoors in nature is my restorative time. It might even be, there's a rope on one of our trees and it swings out and lands in the creek. Now, this is not the weather to be in the creek, but we pretend that we are, Tarzan and Jane and other strange things. So it's doing those fun things that make your kids laugh and make you feel young and just letting go. And of course, you can't take your cell phone with you, right? So all technology has to stay in the house so that nobody can find you while you're on your 25th hour because it would ruin the tree experience. The other one is calling or family members. So, if you didn't have enough time to connect, my dad's getting older, my grandmother's actually going to be 95. So yeah, we have some longevity in the family. So it's just taking a moment to call or even just send a text. We have this joking thing in our family. We'll pretend we're Stevie Wonder and we'll call each other and we'll sing and say, I just called to say I love you. And then we'll leave a little song. So it's those things that brighten people's day because, of course, once again, it's the hospitality in me, my upbringing, trying to make a little ray of sunshine in someone's life even if you don't know what kind of day they had. Um, that's what I like to do in my 25th hour.
I love both answers so much. Like I can just see you singing as you call and connect with someone. And congrats on your grandmother
Thank
hitting
you.
95.
That's amazing, isn't it? I
It so
will tell
is.
you this, one of my good friends just left in August in the middle of COVID to celebrate her grandmother's 100th birthday in Michigan. And one of my clients that actually lives in Great Falls, they have a family member that's living with them that's 110. It's the oldest
Wow.
person. So there's longevity is out there, people. Got to plan for it. Got to prepare for that. So
Wow. 110.
isn't that amazing?
That
She's Asian. Like I think the Asian population sometimes lives into those centennial years so much easier than the rest of us. I don't know. Yeah.
wow. My grandmother lived to 95. So
Wow. Good.
yes. Yeah, yes. I,
Yeah.
I just keep hoping, please let those be good genes.
Yeah.
And was very healthy.
That's the important part.
Right.
Longevity is good, but as long as you can walk and talk and feed yourself, that
Mhm.
counts. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Anything else that you would like to share with our audience before we close out? How can they best get in contact with you? What last piece of advice would you want to share?
Gosh, advice, I could write a book on that actually. So I'll leave it. I would say if you want more nuggets of wisdom, if you're struggling or not even struggling, right? If you just want to be educated on what's going on in the world from a overall financial perspective, things that will impact you that you're not even thinking about, right? Like your car and homeowners insurance, we said, or tax optimization, or gee, I haven't thought about estate planning, do I need a power of attorney and what does that look like? All those kind of general questions. I do a 4 to 6 week speaking engagement. So I'm speaking every month generally. So if you look to get on my newsletter, you can email me, you can call me, but we can put you on that distribution. So when I do one of those presentations or lunch and learns, as we call them, that you're able to get some of that wisdom. And I urge everybody to just partake in that, get some information. You don't have to work with me. You might not be anywhere near Virginia, but the point is you need this kind of wisdom to better plan for yourself and your family. So yeah, join one of those future webinars. That would be great.
Right. And you had mentioned earlier that you get a second opinion if you're having brain surgery. Why wouldn't you get a second opinion with your money?
Absolutely. I meet people all the time, and it pains me to say this, but they might be in their 50s or 60s most commonly. And once I introduce some of the concepts that we're talking about tax optimization and different ways to do integrated tax planning as part of their overall financial plan, they say things like, oh, I wish I had talked to you 20 years ago. Oh, I wish I had spoken to you 10 years ago. So you're absolutely right. I mean, people need to not just take the first person that may be recommended because it's somebody at work or maybe even be a family member, but do get multiple opinions. Do ask multiple people before you move your entire nest egg away from a job you were at for years and put it in one place, because it's usually not a one size or one place fits all solution. Everyone I speak to usually needs a bifurcated or trifurcated or multi-tiered approach depending on what they're trying to do. So make sure that you're getting something like that, right? And then it's not just going from A to Z and then slam it's done and then you're kind of stuck, right? Sometimes you're stuck after those decisions are made. So
Yes. I laugh because I think about my husband came home right when we were first married, and he said, I just wanted to let you know I moved all of our all of my retirement. And I said, you did? He's like, yeah, this woman came in, she was really nice, and she brought us pizza at lunch. And so I thought, man, it made sense. And I thought, oh my God, my husband will move his entire retirement account based on
for
someone
pizza.
bringing in free pizza.
Oh, that's funny. But you know what? He's not alone,
No,
right?
he's
I mean,
not.
it happens. It definitely stranger things have happened. So that's why
Yes.
education, education, education. That's the words I want to end on. Yeah.
In a perfect ending, it is. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you sharing your tips and words of wisdom with our audience and taking the time out of your very busy schedule
Thank
to
you.
educate, educate, educate. So thank you.
Oh, I just love you, Lisa. This is good. I mean, you're right. We are so like soulmates in the way we talk and the way we want to help everybody optimize their days and their schedules and their financial life. So you're great. Thank you.